Welcome to all the bold, courageous, and powerful women tuning into Find Your Fabulous. I'm your host, Dr. Diane, and it's time to ignite your full power. Are you ready to embrace your talents and worth and unleash the wise goddess within? I've got the information, inspiration, and revelation you need to ignite your personal power so you can stop playing small and reclaim the passion and purpose that we all hold within us. Connect with other powerful spiritual women who yearn to be fully expressed. The world needs you. Full power. Let me guide you to find your fabulous and ignite your inner goddess. It all starts now on the Find Your Fabulous show. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Diane Garrison, and you are listening to Find Your Fabulous on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour and let us help you experience the pathway to finding your fabulous. Join us every first and third Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 10 a.m. Central Time, where we will have information, inspiration, and revelation to help you ignite your personal power and reclaim the passion and purpose we all hold within us. I have with me today my special guest business coach, Sara Wisniewski, and my producer, Emily. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, in this deep and rich episode, I will be interviewing British business coach Sara Wisniewski. Sara, am I saying your last name correctly?
It's as good as it needs to be. It's
About her discovery of the domino effect of change, how one brave change created a cascade of other changes that completely transformed her life. Now she loves to teach other online coaches how to build their domino effect of change, and she is here to share her secrets with us. But first, let me introduce you to Sara. Sara Wisniewski spent 20 years in the corporate world managing relationships, projects, and a family. She took a leap of faith in 2018 and left the corporate world before she missed out on the most fun years of her young boys' lives. Sara now helps online coaches to grow the impact of their business by supporting them to earn more and work less. Using a multi-channel strategy, Sara helps her clients to find the way of connecting with those perfect clients they want to serve. Through one-on-one coaching, Sara has helped many women go from a very small following to selling out group and private packages. She is a single mom of 2 school-age boys and a frisky puppy, a fitness instructor, and my personal business coach. Welcome, dear Sara.
Oh, welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful intro.
Sara, you agreed to share your own journey with change to help our listeners understand how one brave change can create a domino effect of changes that completely transform your life. So let's start with, tell us about your huge change in 2018 and how you came to take that leap of faith.
So I guess let's start by saying I wasn't consciously knocking that first domino. And as I've reflected on what I was about to come into this conversation with you, and we've been talking about the domino effect, I guess it's worth noting that you don't know that you're about to start that domino effect. No one taps you on the shoulder and says, this is the first change of a whole series. So it's worth always noting that at whatever point you're at in your life, that if something is challenging you, if you're looking to try and make a decision, it could be that this is the first domino, but actually this could be the third, fourth, fifth, or the first domino still to come. But yeah, let me tell you about 2018. So I was really happy in my corporate life. I was that example of following the routine of the social linear line to success. I did a university degree, went into corporate and progressed my career from there. But then I decided I was ready to start a family. Now, everything else in my life had happened through hard work, concentrated effort and hard work. I had achieved a house, independence, I had financial freedom, I was enjoying my life as a career woman. And then I met the man that I wanted to have my children with, chose very carefully. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen for me. So suddenly I was challenged to look at life in a different way. And I had to look at my health differently. And I had to make different decisions and priorities. Once those two little beautiful gifts did finally come along, I I felt like things changed. So I was no longer the career woman label. I was also a mom, and I was trying to be all of those things at the best I could possibly be. And we can all relate to that. We're trying to be all the things and do all the things and just treading water and being average at everything, which never felt right for me. But I did go back to work after having both children. I had a maternity leave and then straight back to it. And 2018 was I guess all of that history coming together in one conversation. I was taken into the boardroom of the company I worked for, and I was offered a promotion. You might think, yay, fabulous. I was already doing most of that role at the time, and I was being offered it on a permanent basis. And before I had time to process these words, I said, I don't know. I need 24 hours to think about it. And I came home. I talked to my husband and I said, I don't think I want it. I don't want the job that would have been my dream job, because I knew it meant staying away more. I knew it meant additional travel, early mornings, late nights, not seeing my children at bedtime, not seeing them for 3 days in a row because I was missing these key points before they went to nursery. So I took the moment, I went back up to the office and said, I don't want it. I don't want the job. And they couldn't believe it, because this was what I'd been working towards. It was what I'd been discussing for years. And it was very clear that if I didn't take that job, there wasn't really anything left for me. So I agreed very, very amicably that we were going to part company. So I went from being offered a promotion to leaving the business within just over 24 hours.
Wow.
And I had no plan. I had no big kind of, oh, this is what I'll do after. I just knew that this was not right for me to stay. And I look back and go, oh my gosh. But at the time, I don't know, it didn't feel like that huge thing. As I said, it didn't feel like that domino at the time. It was just right. Yes, it was stressful, it was upsetting, but it was just what it needed to be.
The right choice.
Yeah.
Like more in your gut than in your head, because your head probably came up with 100 reasons why it was not a good decision.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a huge risk. It was a huge risk. I was the primary earner. I was running, holding the family down in every sense. So, and not having a plan was singly the bravest thing that I think I have ever done, because I am a planner. I don't do spontaneity. I like having the picture, and everything is meticulously planned out. So this was totally like the leap of faith in all sense of the word.
Wow, that's huge and so brave. I can only imagine how that felt like at the time. And even if it felt like the right choice for you, your partner might have been a little scared. And yeah. So you took that first leap. It felt like the right thing. What happened next? What was the next leap of faith?
Well, I guess logic in some way did start to kick in. We had financial commitments, which were, I guess, proportionate to the income that I was used to earning. So the logic said, I need to go get interviewed. I need to go and find another alternative job that will fulfill that income. But by now I'd had a few short weeks at home, resetting, reassessing. And the big thing for me, I was at home during September. So in the UK, the children go back a little bit later than you guys. So They go back in early September to school. And this was my youngest starting school for the first time. This was him going from nursery to daycare into school. So I was able to have that time to take him to school. I'd never taken my child to school. I'd never picked them up at the school gates. So this was like a whole new world for me. And I embraced it. I loved it. I loved being there to see their little faces at the gate and this great big cuddle at the end of the day. So the more I was going for interviews, of course, the less I wanted the jobs. And the more I was looking at these, well, people in grey suits. And I just thought, this is not the life I want. It's not the life I want. It's not the life I want for my family. And I went out with a girlfriend for a coffee one day, and she was asking me how it was going. And she said to me, well, have you thought about coaching? And I said, well, trouble is we're starting to eat into savings now, and I don't think I can justify that investment. And she said, no, I don't mean for you to have it. I mean for you to do it. And I kind of frowned and scratched my head and said, well, what do you mean? I used to be a coach to my team, and I've had mentors and coaches in my professional sense. But she said, no, you need to get on and do some research. There's a whole world out there that people are actually hiring private coaches. So she said, you could do all the great stuff that you used to love with your team, all that personal development and enabling people to be the best that they could be, but you could do it as a private individual. This was just the revelation I needed. So I went home, I did the research and thought, well, do you know what? I've got nothing to lose. I may as well give this a go. So that was the birth of my business. And it's so close to 6 years ago now, as we sit here in the middle of August. Yeah, it wasn't that overnight. I've always had that burning desire to be an entrepreneur, far from it. It was a realization that I had skills and experience that other people could benefit from. I just had to fill in a few of the gaps. But that was the brave for me, and not have that security of a paycheck coming in is a totally different life, totally different life. But yeah, that was my next big brave decision.
And I just love that, you were doing the thing as you've been programmed, doing the interviews and getting more and more sick of it with every interview you had. And then this lovely girlfriend comes and she gives you an idea. It's like what I call like a God wink or a little miracle. Like it didn't come from you because you weren't ready to go that way yet, but she planted a seed that then just went blossoming. That is, I just love that story. That's so cool. That is so cool. And so then you started putting together this coaching program.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure that was a lot of dominoes.
Yeah. So the business evolution, and I don't think a business growth ever truly ends, but the what I sat with initially was, okay, what am I good at? Like, what skills do I have that I could help somebody with? And I literally got a blank piece of paper and wrote down all these things and wrote down those moments that would have given me real joy with my team, and thought, well, I'll just do that. So it started off being what you would probably broadly describe as being career coaching. So helping people to step into another role, to maximize their opportunities, to strategically network, and all the things that would come natural to me in a corporate environment. And I used the network that I'd already got to say, I'm doing this, I'm doing it privately, here's how I can help you. And it was brilliant. I loved it. But then the next evolution was, well, I need to be specific about my niche. So I was starting to learn much more about online marketing and how to position yourself. And everyone was talking about being specific. So I was like, okay, I'll be specific on confidence, because that seems to be the common conversation I'm having. So I'll go for confidence. But that was still too broad. And it was a conversation I had with one of my clients in that section, who said she was one session away from finishing what we defined as what we would work together for. And she said, I need to confess something to you, Sarah. What I'd like more than ever is to start a business like you've done. Can you help me? And I sat and went, oh my gosh, like I'm not qualified to do that. I could look, and so I said to her, look, I'm going to be really honest. I don't have a formula. I've just gone with my gut. So I said, I don't know whether it would work for anyone else. So how about we agree that we kind of test it? And she said, yep, fine, brilliant. And it turned out it did work. So that was the next.
Wow, that was the next big domino. Again, somebody else telling you something that phew, I just love
Yeah,
it. I love it. I
yeah.
love it. Well, we need to go into a short commercial break, and then we're going to continue, Sara and I, to talk about these, how one brave change can create a domino effect of other further changes and transformations. But before we go to break, Sara, how can our listeners reach out to you?
So I'm really active on social media. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. So if you literally just search on my name, you'll be able to connect with me and my profile on there.
Right. And we're going to have on the podcast description a link to get one of your freebies, one of your
Yeah,
beginner.
yeah, one of my masterclasses that really does help to start that business growth journey.
Beautiful. And for all things fabulous, including my coaching services and free empowerment resources, you can check out my website at fullpowerwomen.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on Find Your Fabulous with Dr. Diane. My guest today is business coach Sara Wisniewski, and we are discussing how one brave change to quit her corporate job led her to create her own coaching business. But the changes didn't stop there, did they? Next, you decided to become a certified fitness instructor. Tell us how that came to be and what that has done for you.
So I was already very much into my fitness, having had two children really close together, and already had to, I guess, take heed of looking after myself in order to be able to get pregnant that first time. I was really, really into my fitness, and there was a particular class that I used to love going to at my local gym, which is it is internationally known. It's Les Mills Body Pump. And we really struggle. I live in a fairly small rural town, and we struggle to get instructors to come out to us from some of the bigger cities. So
Mm.
if ever our one instructor was off sick, the class would get cancelled. And I remember saying at one point to someone, oh, do you know, if I had more time, I would become an instructor because then you'd always get the class because I'm local too. And then all of a sudden, I had the time available. I was, ready to do the process that meant learning all the stuff. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And it was an interesting journey because a lot of people go via one of two routes. Either they love presenting or they love fitness. I love both. So being in front of a class of people just is my place of joy. It really is. Whereas if people come just from the fitness side, learning to present and be that focal point can be really stressful. But I
Mm.
just love it. I love having a head mic on and just shouting at everyone. So yeah, I went through a process of there's a lot of physiology and the body elements to it, and then you learn the Les Mills way. So every 3 months, I get a new set of music and choreography to learn. I don't make it up myself, as I say regularly to my class when they struggle. I say, don't blame me, I didn't make it up. But it allowed me to, again, step into, I guess, another version of myself. So rather than presenting in a very formal way to a boardroom and wearing a suit, I now wear lycra, a head mic, and a barbell. So I absolutely love it. I went on to take a class on a permanent basis, just one initially. I now do 4 a week, all at my local centre.
Wow.
So yeah, I see anywhere between 100 and 150 people a week. Some of them are regulars, but what I love about being able to do that is I'm passionate about making it accessible for everybody. So I've got
Mm.
marathon runners in the room who are looking to just complement their marathon training. And then I've got people my mum's age and older, my mum comes too, who are just looking for a social, a bit of fun, and to keep themselves fit and well. And I'm able to make it accessible for all of them. I love it. It totally lights me up. I can be in the worst mood ever, but once I do that class, it just brings me joy. And I think because I do it for the love of it, that comes across in the way that I teach as well.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love it. But, you know, of course, becoming a fitness instructor wasn't enough. Then you also, in a short time, you also moved.
I did move house, yeah. So again, in the same town, but the house that we moved from, we'd done everything we could do to that. So again, that change process, we'd kind of extended and tweaked it and done all sorts. And I saw this other house come on the market, and it was slightly bigger with a bit more footprint, and it had potential. It had got lots it needed doing. So I thought, yes, that's the next project. So yeah, we uprooted, other side of town, and off we went. But yeah, didn't sell the original house. We were able to keep that as well. So that was fun. It's again, change is, it's one of those things that I think once you start, you realize that it's actually fun as opposed to something to be scared of. The less you change, the less you want to change, whereas the more you change,
Right.
the more you want to change.
That's that momentum piece, that domino effect, right?
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. You also shared with me how you've become a personal development junkie. And by the way, I'm one too. Um, share with us what that was all about and what it does for you, what it does for you personally, what it does for your coaching business.
Yeah, and I think this is a really interesting change in me personally. I was an academic. I enjoyed learning, I enjoyed the whole school process, and then I did professional development throughout my career. So I'm not afraid of studying, learning, and I think that helps to keep everything active. It helps to challenge your thinking and expand your mind in so many different ways. But again, it was very restricted to the corporate world, and learn
Yeah.
how to use a new program or learn how to present better or your communication skills. When I was immersed into the coaching industry, I was now exposed to this concept of personal development and personal growth, and it was like I had a pair of blinkers or blinders, as you would say, taken off, so that I could suddenly see all this stuff I wasn't able to see before.
Hmm.
And things like the law of attraction, I probably wouldn't have even known what that phrase meant until I left my corporate bubble and stepped out into the bigger world. But I very quickly became interested in, that's why I'm very connected to the moon. That's why I'm always conscious of where the moon phases are, because of that connectivity to this bigger thing. And it was just that moment of, oh, I get it now. I see why that happens and why I created that in my life and why I didn't create that in my life. And it seemed to explain so many things for me. So I just started to absorb and absorb and absorb. One of my first books was Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass, which is a hilarious read. She's so funny. She's very dry, very matter of fact. And I just found it fascinating but hilarious as well. And then I kind of just continued that. I want more, 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 more. And learning to be able to harness that. And I'm still on that journey, but being able to say, yeah, those feelings can come in and they can make you feel a certain way, but I can allow myself to let them go, or I can shift how I react to a certain thing. It's all within my control. And I love playing with it. I love doing I'm going to get a really good parking space today. When I get up to my gym, the perfect space is going to be there for me. And just living those little tiny, tiny moments. So that's opened my eyes, and feeling so much more at one with the universe and everything that is. And change comes into that too. I was observing today that the leaves are changing. It's early, but they are definitely starting to change on certain trees. And again, I love that process that every year the autumn comes and you get the leaves and the evolution. It's really good. And I think the more that you can lean towards that and embrace it, work with it rather than against it and resist it, change is natural. Change is just a continuous cycle that the entire universe goes through.
Absolutely. I just love that, When we connect to the bigger field, to the quantum web or spirit or whatever you want to call it, the universe, it just feels like then change is just part of that connection.
Yeah.
It just becomes part of the connection because you get these hits. Oh, I'm to do this. And whether it comes from within your own inner wisdom or a girlfriend tells you at a coffee shop that, have you ever thought about coaching? You get these hits and it's really quite miraculous and it's beautiful.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Change and growth. As they say, nature doesn't like a void or a vacuum. And we're the same. We want to feel whatever it is. Unfortunately, we've got things that don't necessarily serve us positively that can fill gaps, being choice in my language, but we do. We want to fill all the spaces. So being a lot more conscious about the way that I fill my time. I don't really watch any TV. Occasionally, I'll sit with my children and we'll watch a film, but it's intentional. We're sitting down to have some family time and watch a movie together. Other than that, I don't watch TV. I'll rather read a book or write my journal. So it's just having that feeling much more at one, and it brings peace for me, certainly.
Yeah, it's a different kind of mindset, right? Where you are supporting yourself in ways that enrich and calm yourself versus, doom scrolling on social media or something, right? Where you're, whether it's just relaxing, watching a film with the kiddos, or whether it's reading a book that could be enriching or it could just be entertainment. It's about just being intentional and mindful about your choices of how to spend your time and how to focus your energy. I get these little inspirations every morning, and one of them was, on the pathway to transformation, first you change the beliefs and then you manifest the behavior, like you saying, I'm going to get the perfect parking spot, right? And then lo and behold, that parking spot, comes up. It's like if we choose to control our thinking and focus it on what we'd really love to create versus just let outside influences control what we focus on, then all kinds of crazy things start happening.
Mm-hmm.
We need to go into a second break, Sara. So this is Dr. Diane, and you're listening to the Find Your Fabulous show. We're taking another short break, and when we come back, Sara and I will continue to explore the domino effect of change. But before we break, Sara, please remind our dear listeners how they can reach out to you.
So you can find me certainly on LinkedIn, also on Facebook, and I think we're going to share some details of my website too, which is simply sarawisniewski.co.uk.
There we go. And to learn all about my coaching services and free empowerment resources, you can check out my website at fullpowerwomen.com. And if you missed any information on the show or you just want to catch the replay, you can get access to all episodes on this website. And if you have questions, you want to chat, just email me at drdiane@fullpowerwomen.com. Stay tuned. We will be right back. Hello, everyone. We're back on the Find Your Fabulous show with Dr. Diane with my special guest business coach, Sara Wisniewski, and we are discussing how one brave change led to a transformation of your life. Quit the corporate job, start your own business, become a fitness instructor, move house, and dive into personal development. That is a lot of beautiful change and growth. But these changes and your growing self-awareness led to yet another big change. Would you share that with us?
It did. And this one, I think, again, was one that was a while coming. but lots of events all transpired and brought everything to a head to make me come to the realization that I wasn't happy in my marriage. Through lockdown, a lot of us were very much forced to focus on what was happening within our households. We had 2 young children at home needing homeschooling, which put a huge amount of pressure on the family unit as a whole. And everything that was previously being able to be ignored was very much brought into focus. And I had to be honest with myself and say that my evolution felt like it wasn't as part of that partnership. So a very emotional time, a very difficult conversation to have. And especially given that I was the one going through that personal growth and change. It was me that was doing all of that changing.
Right.
We met nearly 15 years before via our corporate life. So we were both in that same environment, lots of common ground. And now, of course, I'd left that behind and I was growing into a different version of myself. And he was still with that corporate life. So we just taken different paths. Now, what was really, I think, well, to the credit of to all of us, but again, part of that personal development and the inner strength that I was building was that we were able to go through a separation extremely gracefully, extremely collaboratively, and with very much the children front of mind. So as I said, we bought another house on the other side of town. We still had the original one that we had lived in. So I was able to come back to that. And the children then had 2 very familiar houses to live across the both. So we were adamant from the start. It was all about the ongoing communication and making sure that the children knew what was happening as much as they needed to, and that we would remain friends. And we are now 4 years on. And yeah, we regularly still get together. We do stuff for the kids together. In fact, we went to meet the real Father Christmas not long ago, and we all went. We went as a 4 because I felt that was an experience that I didn't want their dad to miss out on. So yeah, we managed to very much manage that process of evolution again away from one another. And I have 0 regrets. I think the children are now thriving because of it. They have a better relationship with their father because they have that closeness now with him. They're able to have that closeness now with me. And it's more than shown for me that it was definitely the right decision to take.
Wow. That's another really brave change. And it was your personal growth and awareness and expansion that led to that. And because you could remain grounded and confident and calm, you were able to bring him along with the process, it sounds like, so that you're friends, that doesn't happen that often.
No,
I see the results in my practice of the other folks, right? With the bitterness and everything. And so that's beautiful and a testament to that personal development, right?
Yes. And being able to, despite the frustrations, and they did come in, and the snappiness, I was able to find compassion and respect. And I think that's what I see so often, is that there's that degradation of whatever was at the core. Like that person they meant something to you at a certain point. Because things change doesn't mean they have to just get into the whole bickering and that toxic sense to them. And we say we still very much maintain that we are co-parenting, and we will continue to do that as things they will continue to change. And I think the piece that I I've taken from that is a big label I could take off. So the label of being the primary earner, being the mom, being the wife, being the this, being the other. Instead of feeling obligated to wear those labels, I can choose when I wear them. And I can be much more conscious in saying, I'm wearing my parent label now and we're doing this together. Actually, I'm in my business owner label now. Whereas I think where before I felt those labels were imposed on me, now I wear them with pride when I choose to.
Wow, that's beautiful. And that adaptability and flexibility is, it's part of the whole process. And in my last podcast, I explained how fear of change is actually built into our neurophysiology. Our unconscious mind is constantly looking for danger, just like it did when we lived in caves. And our ego is fiercely protecting our comfort zones, trying always to keep us safe. But growth requires us very definitely to move out of our comfort zones. And you seem to have become an expert at that. You've developed a powerful growth mindset that, that sounds like a, buzz term, growth mindset, but this trust of yourself and the universe and your life path that allows you to keep on making these changes that so many people that both you and I meet in our practices are afraid to make, right? They let that fear define them rather than realizing, that if a chosen change actually brings up fear, you're on the right track, because it's challenging the comfort zone. So I'd love to hear your kind of advice to people to how to move beyond the fear and the self-doubt.
We're not supposed to stay where we are. That's not what was intended for us. We are supposed to grow and change and evolve. A tree doesn't just get to what it would consider as full height, or we would consider, and then stop. It keeps growing and it keeps, everything with nature is continuous. We are not supposed to become an adult and just stay in a linear position. The way that I like to consider change and that fear element is a bit like the cartoon, where a cartoon character is climbing through clouds and there's no step until they lift their foot and they get ready to put that step down. And then there's a step there, there's a step there, there's a step there. If we don't lift our foot ready to put it onto the next step, the step will never form. You'll just stay while all the other things are evolving around you, and you will end up stagnant, and you're not supposed to. Somehow, somewhere, the universe has always got you, and things will transpire that you never even considered as a possibility.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I have a mentor, Mary Morrissey, at the Brave Thinking Institute, and she always says, that a vision or a dream or an intention without action is just entertainment. So it's both being able to visualize what you would love to create and then start taking those action steps. And I think what people don't understand is you don't have to have a strategic plan for that. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to make the first step and trust that more information will come to you. And, it's a very different way of living your life, but also a very, once you can trust it, a very lovely way of life.
I literally wrote the line in my journal today. I don't have to know the how. I don't have to have all the answers. I've just got to take the first step. And then the next step forms, and then the next step, and it becomes clearer and clearer and clearer. And that's hard for me as someone who likes a plan. I like to feel like I can picture it and to be in control. So just to trust that I don't need to know how. I just need to trust in the process that it will happen, whatever is supposed to happen for me.
Yeah. And that's another one of those big leaps of faith, right? Trusting that it will be revealed. We need to go into our last break here. You're listening to Dr. Diane and the Find Your Fabulous show. When we come back, Sara and I will continue to explore this domino effect of change. Before we break, Sara, please, again, remind our listeners how to reach out to you and find out more about your services.
So you can find me on my website, which is very simply sarawisniewski.co.uk, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn or Facebook. Just search for my name.
There you go. And Wisneski is I'm going to spell this out because people may not know. No, you spell it.
I spell it. Let's see. W-I-S.
Easier.
I've done it a few times. W-I-S for sugar. N-I-E-W-S for sugar again. K-I.
Beautiful. Thank you. And for all things fabulous, including my coaching services and free empowerment resources, please check out my website at fullpowerwomen.com. We'll be back after a short break. Hello, we're back on the Find Your Fabulous show with Dr. Diane, and I'm here with my very special guest, business coach Sara Wisniewski, and we are discussing how one brave change can lead to a transformation of your life through the domino effect. Now, the domino effect change means that once you make one change, other changes will come more easily as you gain this wonderful momentum of transformation, like the universe is jumping in to help you. I love this quote by Jean Houston, who I've got to take several classes with, but she always says that the universe says, "Hot dog, we've got a live one." It's as if, okay, if you show you are ready to grow and change, that you will get that support, that bigger support that you can't see necessarily, but you can feel nonetheless. And I just love the visual of those elaborate domino setups where once the first domino begins to fall, you get this beautiful cascade effect that at the end reveals a wonderful design. But the truth is, we're never a finished product. If we want to lead a vibrant, fulfilling life, the learning and growing and leaping is never done, is it? I would love to hear your thoughts on this, Sara.
It's not. And I think for us all, it means something different to us. For some, it might simply be having a conversation that you've been putting off for a while. It might mean saying no when previously you've just gone along with something or said yes. Change and starting to implement that domino effect might just be teeny tiny things. It might mean going to bed a little bit earlier. It might mean treating yourself and getting your nails done every now and again. Whatever that means for you, but knowing that you are starting something and that you are part of something which allows you to continue should just help you put your trust in it. I mean, we've talked today about some really dramatic life changes, and when we were discussing this before today, and as I was noting that series of events, it was really only in putting them all down on one sheet, go, oh wow, yeah, actually. but when I was in it, in the moment, it didn't feel like that. So it's only on reflection that sometimes you can realize you are in it. So I guess I would just say to people, don't fear it. Just one thing that's different might be enough to start something else and something else and something else. Even walking to work in a different direction or taking a different bus or whatever it might be, that might be enough to start something. The more we get stuck in that rut, the more we just look down, we put one foot in front of the other day after day after day, the less we've got our eyes open to what other potentials are. But what would you say? What do you feel like could start a domino effect? Have you felt that in your life, and what started it for you?
Oh, I'm going through a domino effect right now. Another transformation process with really no idea where the dominoes will land. You know, I've done a lot of personal development work in my life, but, you know, I know there is always more. So a couple months ago, I signed up for this energy medicine course. And, I didn't have time to do it, but it just looked like something interesting. And it was like, intuition said, buy it. So I did. And then about a month ago, it finally called to me saying it's time to do this. And so I start this course thinking that I'm just going to get some cool ideas on how to use energy medicine to lose weight. And it's actually going very deep and revealing these old wounds I thought I had healed, but it's like at a very different level. And there's this knowing that I am evolving to a new level of my own progress and awareness. And this is going to affect all areas of my life. And I have no idea where this means. And it's a very weird place for a former perfectionist, control freak to be existing in. Like, I want to know where this is going. I want to, and I'm working really hard not to try to fill in the blanks with my big, beautiful analytic mind, like, oh, this must mean this. And I'm really, maybe for the first time, 100% letting myself be guided, like, okay, I don't know where this is going. I just know that I'm supposed to be doing this. And
Brilliant.
it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like getting on the roller coaster that you were never quite brave enough to ride before.
And not sure in where how it twists or turns, or like surprise roller coaster. Yeah. It's very, very interesting. And I don't know. But it's just a product of, as you have said, keep on trusting that, that domino effect, that there's a momentum here. And that the fact that I got the hit, that I listened to that, by this course, even though I knew I had no time at the time to actually devote to it. And then feeling, oh, now the time is ripe. It's a very different way of being, and it's not a way of being that our Western culture teaches us, teaches us to be very externally focused, very linear, strategic plan, one foot in front of the other. Here's the end goal, and here's all the steps laid out. That's the way the Western culture teaches us. That I feel is very much dare I say, a masculine way of approaching growth and development versus this more feminine, spiritual way. I'm going to tune into intuition. I'm going to tune into inner wisdom. I'm going to take some leap of faiths. I mean, if you think about it, getting pregnant is a leap of faith, isn't it? We have no idea what we're signing up for.
No.
Speaking of roller coasters, we have no idea. And I'm just talking about the pregnancy to deliver. I'm not talking about the roller coaster of parenthood.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's the most natural thing in the world. Do you know that?
Right, because your body knows how to do it. And if you trust it and try not to control things, it can be a beautiful process.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that continues. And it doesn't always have to be that big, right? I'm just gonna have to be dramatic and trust. Just try with little things. It is building, it's like a muscle. You have to practice, you have to start small and work up to the big things. And yeah, for me, it will be a continuous process. And when people ask me about things like your purpose, and once you're aligned to your purpose, you're in flow, and then you'll know, and everything will just. But again, you don't get that person tapping you on your shoulder going, this is your purpose, just here, do this. You have to trust and give things a go, and you'll either feel it's a good fit or you won't, but you'll never know unless you try. And that's the beauty of life. It gives us this huge tapestry of experiences to try things out. But we have to be brave enough to take that first step first.
that first step, absolutely. Yeah, and just expect there'll be missteps along the way. It's not going to be a perfect smooth thing. There'll be missteps, there'll be challenges, but you're going to learn so much in the process, and that's going to guide you to the next step and the next action. And yeah, it's definitely a different way of living your life, but I think you and I both agree it's an optimal way of living your life versus going back to living in our heads 24/7, because that was exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't plan for everything because life throws other things at you. And once you accept that change doesn't always look beautiful, change can look messy. Change can, you think of an animal shredding a skin. It's messy and it's icky and it looks all like a bit dull first, and then it emerges and wow, look at it, it's amazing. So accept that the messy bit might come before the beauty, and then you can almost ride it out a little bit more.
Absolutely. So we're coming to the end of our show. And I just, to summarize, change is the only constant in the universe. You can resist it, or you can embrace it, creating your own domino effect and allowing yourself to actually enjoy the momentum. Always curious about, I wonder what will come next. Before we end, Sara, please tell our listeners one final time about how to reach out to you.
So you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Sara Wisniewski. I'll spell it for you. W-I-S for sugar, Niewski. And if you pop that into a search engine, sarawisniewski.co.uk, you'll be able to find my website too.
Beautiful. And you can learn all about my coaching services and free empowerment resources on my website, fullpowerwomen.com, or you can reach out to me directly at Dr. Diane at fullpowerwomen.com. I want to thank my very special guest, Sara, for sharing such great information. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to the Find Your Fabulous show. I had a wonderful time. Please join me every first and third Monday of the month at 8 a.m. Pacific and 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time on Labor Day, September 2nd. Labor Day is the signal, at least for me, that school is back in session and fall is beginning. So I will be exploring the topic of soul school. You won't want to miss it. Until next time, go out and find your fabulous. You deserve no less. Bye. I'm your host, Dr. Diane, and you have been listening to Find Your Fabulous. It's time to ignite your full power. Tune in every first and third Monday of the month at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on Transformation Talk Radio for information, inspiration, and revelation to ignite your personal power. Connect with other bold, courageous, and powerful women who are ready to stop playing small and reclaim the passion and purpose that we all hold within us. The world needs you, full power. To find your fabulous and ignite your inner goddess, visit